2 years ago, at the mayor's town hall meeting, our school community, led by our PTA president, supported by our then public advocate and other elected officials, brought our concern about Medgar's college facilities to our mayor. We were pleasantly surprised at the level of concern and empathy that the mayor extended to us. He promised then that he would have the head of school construction authority investigate the matter. Here we are today with our mayor and his team, not to bring empty promises to us. That was done for many years, but he has brought to us a solution to the problem. I am thrilled this afternoon to know that within a few years, our students will have access to top-of-the-art gymnasium, beautiful classrooms that will replace these portable classrooms that we see behind us. They will finally have facilities that they deserve to receive their education.
Here you go.
Thank you. Teamwork, yes.
Makes the dream work.
We have been through so much lately. The pandemic has laid bare where we need to focus on investing. I am grateful to our community and to everyone here that we have decided to invest in Medgar and the future generation of students to come. Mr. Mayor, we are grateful to you for listening to us and most of all, caring for our community. Today, we are here to witness a promise made and a promise kept. Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. Now it is my time, or it is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce to you our mayor, Mayor de Blasio.
All right. Anybody, if you are celebrating anything, anywhere, bring Lori Cumbo with you, okay? You will be really glad you did. I'm going to speak about this really good day very much from the heart and very briefly, because I want to note there's a little bit of a tale of two cities happening right here. The people in the sun are feeling a little bit better. Having been here on the shade side, I'm going to keep it brief to defend everyone in the shade. Dr. Wilshire, congratulations, a profound congratulations to you. This has been your life's work. It has been a work of passion. And sometimes, my friends, things actually work. So, Dr. Wilshire taking this dream and with a name attached that is a sacred name, Medgar, and turned it into something great for generation after generation of our children. That is profoundly important work, and he has achieved it, and it's our obligation to support him in that. So, Doctor, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to be very quick in saying this also. I want to thank everyone, every elected official, community leader, everyone from CUNY, everyone from city government. So I've covered all those bases, but now let me tell you about the people who made very clear to me that this is something that demanded focus and that was the right thing to do. And you think a lot of times that's outside voices, but I want to also give credit where credit is due. Yes, Lorraine Grillo took up the baton from that town hall meeting, Dr. Wilshire, and then once she looked at the details and worked with you on the plan, she became convinced it's the right thing to do. So I heard Lorraine's strong voice. I want to thank you for leading the way, Lorraine Grillo. And then I got consistent encouragement, shall we say, from my dear, dear friend, Congressmember Yvette Clarke, and I want to thank you for being a good conscience on this issue. Also, because she is in the sun, you can see her incredibly stylish shoes, which really I just can't take my eyes off them. Those are wonderful. Those are wonderful. It goes without saying that not only does Lori Cumbo cheer for what she believes in, but she fights for what she believes in. She talked to me and pushed me and reminded me and cajoled me And Lori, you were right all along, so I thank you. A special thanks, two more special thanks to my Brooklyn member of the CUNY board who's done such great work for this community here, all of Brooklyn, now all of New York City. Una Clark, thank you. And finally, that's that, a little biased there, that's okay. Finally, she is mama to us all, Yvette, okay? Finally, someone who's done so much great work here, but I also want to flag today, I'm going to be leaving shortly because there is a Zoom gathering of mayors from around the country with the president-elect and the vice president-elect. And we're going to be talking about a lot of things, but the number one thing we're going to be talking about is stimulus. And someone who has been leading the charge in the House of Representatives, we will need him again. Hakeem Jeffries, thank you. So I will say a few things, and I'll be able to stay just a little bit to hear a few of my colleagues, and then I'll be moving on, but with joy, because, again, we've done something that lives up to this sacred name of Medgar Evers. And right now, we're in a moment of transformation in our city, in our country, and a moment of awakening. But let's not for a moment forget those who came before and were awake and willing to risk so much in their times. And Medgar Evers deserves to be in that pantheon of the great American heroes who gave their all to change us, to make us better. And so when we name something after him, it takes on a very, very special meaning. Our vision throughout these last 7 years has been to address inequality, but not just in words, but in deeds, and that particularly comes to the area of education. When we created pre-K for all, that was something that Medgar Evers would have done too. When we said that, and Dr. Wiltshire mentioned advanced placement, we said advanced placement courses are for children of every race, of every economic status, of every neighborhood, not just some, but all. That's the kind of thing Medgar Evers would have wanted too. When we say that the facilities in each community should be just as beautiful, just as modern, just as conducive to the greatness of our children, that's what Medgar Evers would have done too. So we're going to do everything we can to live up to his example. And the last thing I want to say is we are in a moment not only of transformation, but a moment where we have to be poised for a great recovery. And this city has done some things this year that really added to that history of greatness in New York City. When people said we could not come back from this disease, we proved time and time again we could. We've done remarkable things, but we're going to have to do even more remarkable things ahead. So we are here today to celebrate something great for this neighborhood, for this borough, for the children of Medgar Evers, but also to celebrate that this is another part of our recovery, that we're continuing to build things, that we're continuing to make things better. We are far, far from done in New York City. I truly believe we put our shoulders and our backs to it. We do what New Yorkers do. We show the strength and resilience. The best is yet to come. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Lorraine Grillo, and I'm the president and CEO of the New York City School Construction Authority. I am so delighted to be here today. This has been a long, long journey. We've worked really, really hard together to get to this point. And I just want to say to the parents who fought so hard to get to here, thank you, thank you, thank you. Of course, I have to say a special thank you to Mayor de Blasio, because this would never have happened if it weren't for his commitment to the children of the city of New York. You know, I've lived through a bunch of mayors, and no one has taken an interest and worked so hard for our kids. So thank you, Mayor.
Yay, Mayor de Blasio!
Yeah. And of course, all of our elected officials that are here, I'm so proud to be on the same stage as the rest of you. It's an honor for me. But two special thank yous. First, to Dr. Una Clark, who has been a partner in this with me and has worked so, so hard. Una is a chair of our diversity board at the SCA, so we work very, very closely, and it's an honor. Second, special thank you goes to our partners at CUNY. Hector Batista and I, since the day they took over CUNY, we've worked hand in hand to work to get this done, and I want to say thank you to him. So let me start. I have the honor and the privilege to introduce to you Representative Congresswoman Clark, who will say a few words to you. Thank you.
Let me, first of all, start by acknowledging Mayor Bill de Blasio, who has really come through on so many different levels for our community, to express our gratitude and commitment for staying the course with respect to Medgar Evers College Prep and Medgar Evers College. To my chairman, the chairman of the Democratic Caucus of the House of Representatives, and soon to be Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Honorable Hakeem Jeffries. To the chairwoman of the Brooklyn Democratic Organization, Assemblymember Rodneyce Bichad, and of course, to my number one cheerleader and majority leader of the New York City Council, Lori Cumbo. Outstanding. Let me thank Hector Batista and, of course, Lorraine for their partnership in seeing through this vision of excellence here in Central Brooklyn. Let me thank our Chancellor, Chancellor Carranza, who has put the needs of our children at the center of all that he does. Let me thank you, the beloved community, for coming out, for being activist and engaged, for not letting up or giving in when we know that the needs of our scholars were at stake. You know, this project will allow for the construction of a new competition-sized gymnasium and 22 plus classrooms. 4 science labs. 50,000 square feet of classroom space for Medgar Evers students, and the site is currently this site that is currently occupied by trailers, used by public schools and Medgar Evers students. I'm excited. I just finished my orbit around the sun on Saturday and am a year older.
Happy birthday!
And I grew up in this community. I've lived here all my life. I remember when this parking lot was reserved for community carnivals, where we would come out and ride the rides, and I'd drive Dr. Clark crazy trying to get cotton candy and everything else. And just to see what has happened throughout my lifetime in the building of educational institutions here in Central Brooklyn for young people who don't get access ordinarily to excellence is really heartwarming. And I wanted to just say how grateful I am. I wanted to say that today the work begins. We're not letting up. We're not giving in. We want to see, the shovel, the ceremonial shovel put into the ground. And then we want to see the ribbon cutting as those new students enter into the most modern, most wonderful educational edifice right here in Central Brooklyn. So let me congratulate the beloved community. You've done it again. Let me thank our mayor for seeing and grabbing hold of this vision, and all of the stakeholders who made it possible for us all to gather for this wonderful announcement today. Everyone stay safe, stay healthy, stay strong, stay blessed, and wear your masks.
Yes!
Thank you so much, Congressmember. That's just fabulous. Again, I have another honor today, and as the Congresswoman mentioned, our next Speaker of the House of Representatives, cross your fingers, Representative Hakeem Jeffries. Thank you.
Yeah, Hakeem!
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I think my mother must be circulating some talking points. But I appreciate all of the kind words, and certainly I'm so thankful just to be part of this glorious ceremony with these tremendous public servants and educators and all of you, the Medgar Evers College Preparatory Academy family. This has been a challenging year as we've been dealing with this pandemic, a public health crisis, and an economic crisis, as well as all of the pain and suffering and death attendant to it. Trials and tribulations, but I still think on this day, there's a whole lot for us to be thankful for. First and foremost, I'm thankful that God woke us up this morning, started us on our way. We take nothing for granted. Thankful for the mayor for his tremendous leadership in grappling the significance of making sure that the educational needs of these Medgar Evers students are addressed in such a phenomenal way. Thankful for my sisters in government, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, an extraordinary public servant, and Majority Leader Lori Cumbo, whose tenacity and intellect and drive and vision are certainly responsible in large measure for getting us to this moment. Thankful for Dr. Wilshire and his commitment to providing a first-rate education to our students and never letting go of that vision year after year and decade after decade and bringing it about in such a phenomenal way. Thankful, of course, that so-and-so is on his way out and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are on their way in. And Mayor, we're going to work on making sure we get the city and the state the fiscal relief necessary to continue the progress. And just lastly, and most importantly, thankful that we can now see that sometime soon we have a first-rate set of educators with a first-rate principal and first-rate teachers and first-rate parents and certainly first-rate students. But now we can marry that with a first-rate school building commensurate with their talents and ensure that they can go on to be whatever they want to be in this life and make America the best that it can possibly be. So God bless all of you. God bless Medgar Evers College High School. God bless the United States of America.
Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman. Congressman, you mentioned Councilmember Lori Cumbo. Lori Cumbo and I have become almost like sisters. My phone number is, I think you memorized it, because she was so committed to this, and we spoke at least, 2-3 times a week for the last year, pushing very hard because she was committed to doing this for her community. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce my friend, Councilmember Lori Cumbo.
Thanks, Yvette, for returning the favor. Good afternoon, everyone. This is such an exciting and historical day, and I couldn't be more pleased to be your council member at this particular time. It's an emotional day as well, and just talking with so many of the parents here today, we all share in that emotion. I feel in my life, I've had 5 callings in my life, and they're callings from God to do certain things. I don't understand them. I don't know how they come to me, but founding the Mokata Museum, running for city council, giving birth to our son Prince, delivering the Bedford Union Armory, and this are the 5 callings that I've had in my life. And what individuals around me don't recognize is that once I get that calling, it has to be delivered. And what you all, Mayor, the Chancellor, the Commissioner, have been feeling is that energy, because it's unstoppable and it has to be. I remember growing up as a teenager and coming home from college and seeing the brand new building on Bedford Avenue and President Edison Jackson, and many others there for the opening of that brand new building. And to me, I just felt, wow, Medgar Evers is on the move. They are on the rise. And how powerful is this president and the leaders of the school to be able to deliver a building of this caliber, and how impressed I was. But at the same time, never recognizing or even having a dream that in some ways, in some day, I would have an opportunity to participate in a very similar way. The success of Medgar Evers College Preparatory High School is a success story. It is the greatest success story in New York City. It is a building built for 500 with 1,500 students in that building, with 99.9% of them going off to 4-year colleges. It's a story that you do not hear about in the newspapers, or it's not bragged about in social media in the same way, but it is an incredible story of success. And when I would go to the graduation every single year, I realized this cannot be. They can no longer continue to succeed despite the building that they are in. They can no longer continue to succeed and win championships despite not having a gym or an auditorium. They have to succeed with all of the multi-million-dollar state-of-the-art facility that they are deserving of. And what this is seen between the prep and the college, we have seen throughout the years many different challenges, but the challenges that we see are mostly as a result of a lack of investment, a lack of fairness, and what it is that people do when they are not properly invested in, when they do not have adequate resources, when there is a scarcity of resources. It creates an environment where infighting happens, where people are no longer trustful, that they feel that they have to have a every man for themselves mentality. But today, this is why we are beginning to transform that very reality. We have to have an education where our children feel a sense of abundance, where they feel that there's more than enough, where there's more than enough space, where there is an investment in their minds. I want to read to you very quickly, because during all of this, I just got obsessed. I mean, I am obsessed, but I just got obsessed. I'm just obsessed. I'm aware of it. There's a big difference between those that are not aware of it. There are so many that participated in the building of Medgar Evers College, and this was a letter that was addressed to Shirley Chisholm from Albert Bowker, who was the second chancellor of CUNY. He says, I received a full report of the exciting proceedings, as well as a representation of your powerful remarks. I share your concern for the active participation of the community. I was gratified to learn of the constructive program of unified community action that emerged from the meeting. The whole concept of Community College Number 7 rests on the premise of just this sort of involvement and commitment on the part of the people of Bedford-Stuyvesant. As yet, I do not see clearly how everything will work out, including the final shape for the college. But that is precisely where creative imagination and hard thought will be called for. It is in the interest of all concerned that this new concept in post-high school, college-level education should be realized through united efforts. And this letter was written in February of 1968 to our Assemblymember Chisholm from Albert Bowker, talking about the need of unity, the need for unity in our community. As we look around, Central Brooklyn has one of the most successful dreams realized of Black elected officials all throughout. The Central Brooklyn Black elected officials are the first to hold many of the positions that we see today. And it's so important that we continue to unify, because that unification delivers the investment that you are seeing today. That unification transcends throughout the entire community, throughout our colleges, throughout our hospitals, and all throughout. And it is an ideal that I continue to be invested in and continue to make sure happens. We have to unite as a Democratic Party, as people of color, as African people. We must continue to unite. The Black Lives Matter movement is so powerful because what it showed in so many ways was the inequality that so many people were facing. It wasn't just about the fact that we wanted police accountability or that we didn't want to be choked to death. It was also about fairness and fair representation and investment in our community, as well as the education of the minds of our young people, because education is ultimately what will change the dynamics and the paradigm for so many. But I'm also so very proud of the fact that this is an HBCU. And for me, as a graduate of Spelman College, when I attended that college, so many people said, "Why are you going to a black college? That's not the real world." But we are seeing all throughout this world the power of an HBCU education. When we see Stacey Abrams, who graduated from Spelman College, transforming the presidential election, we know the power of an HBCU. When we see Kamala Harris, a graduate of Howard University, we know the power of an HBCU. When we see Keisha Lance Bottoms, a graduate of Florida A&M, and the mayor of Atlanta, Georgia, transforming, we know the power of an HBCU. And right here in Brooklyn, New York, we have a graduate of Medgar Evers College, our very own Assembly member, Diana Richardson. And we will continue. As I transition out of the City Council, I feel good knowing that another dynamic sister will continue to lead the way. So I'm just going to quickly thank so many people, because as everyone joked on the dais how many times I've called them, I know they have started to not take my calls quite as much because it got to be a little overwhelming. But I want to thank you, Mayor de Blasio, because you are a man of your word. And when I saw just last week, they unveiled a brand new multi-million-dollar state-of-the-art community center for Marcy houses, I was impressed. Mayor de Blasio has continued his investment in black communities in Central Brooklyn all throughout the city, and it's been an honor to see that and to appreciate the work that you're doing. I want to thank Commissioner Lorraine Grillo. You are awesome, a true rock star. I felt so confident fighting alongside her to make this happen. I want to thank Chancellor Rodriguez for all of his work of CUNY, dynamic leader. He'll tell you, I hemmed him up at a ballet one time, and he just wanted to get away. But I told him so much about this. Hector Batista, who has been phenomenal of CUNY, who's been part of all of these meetings. Speaker Corey Johnson, who came here originally, and he saw the trailers and recognized, what are these trailers for? And I said, this is where our students, our colleagues, he said, no. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that we transform this. Jason Goldman, Nathan Toth, LaTanya McKinney. Where's Yume? Yeah, Yume, right there, very quietly off to the side. But boy, is she tired of me. But I want to thank Yume for the incredible work that you've done. Melanie Hartzog for the incredible work that you've done. I spoke very clearly to him last night, and he didn't know if he could make it, but I'm so proud that Councilmember Albert Van is here. Councilmember Van, can you please stand up? Yes. Now let me say, Councilmember Albert Van in 1968 is one of the original founders of Medgar Evers College. He fought to make sure that this was a 4-year institution, and he also fought diligently to make sure that this college had the right president and with community involvement. Community involvement was essential. And when I went through all of the records talking about his name was on every single record talking about the phenomenal work that Medgar Evers College was going to do. And I wanted you to be here because essentially as electeds, we stand on your shoulders. And it's our goal and dream and aspiration to make you proud as you've passed the baton on to us to let you know that the work that you have done, the legacy continues. I want to thank Councilmember Dr. Una Clark, who has been working tirelessly for Medgar Evers College for over 50 years, making sure that this institution is realized. My only hope in life is that as I transition out of the City Council, I am as powerful as Dr. Una Clark, because there's nothing that happens of any merit in Central Brooklyn that does not involve her in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So we appreciate you. We thank you. This could not have happened without you. Assemblymember Annette Robinson, Senator Belmonette Montgomery, the late Councilmember Mary Pinkett, who was a tireless champion for Medgar Evers College, Congressmember Shirley Chisholm, Congressmember Major Owens, and I also want to thank my colleagues here at Medgar Evers College who have been my role models and my mentors since I don't even remember how old. I've just known them my whole life. I want to thank Assemblymember Roger Green for your tireless efforts, for always fighting the good fight. You have led the way and taught me what institution building is all about. I want to thank, at the same time, Richard Green, who is here in the back. Richard, can you just wave to us? Thank you. He has led the entire food pantry effort here in Crown Heights during the entire pandemic. I want to thank Dr. John Flateau, Dr. Esmeralda Simmons, Dr. Brenda Green, Dr. Evelyn Castro, and I want to thank my colleague as well, Assemblymember Walter Mosley, and I want to thank my leader as well, Assemblymember Rodneyce Bichot. And I say that because all of these partnerships collectively and together are what delivered this. And so we have to continue to partner. We have to continue to work together. We have to continue to make sure that we pave a way for the next generation. And I just want all of the parents of the prep to please wave their hands. You all are so phenomenal. Stand up, actually, because y'all are so awesome. There's no telling you all no, and there's no way that I could have gone back without being able to deliver this for you and for our students. So I thank you all so very much. I thank you all for the work. My greatest honor is that during this entire COVID pandemic, that I'm here to share this honor with my parents, and I'm here to share it with my significant other of our son, Prince Olisa. And I thank all of you for being here today. This is one of the proudest days of my life. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Really, really great to hear from you, Lori. So I think I mentioned earlier that I've been around for quite some time, a few administrations, and I think that I've been through 8 schools chancellors. This school chancellor is probably the finest man that I have met in the Department of Education. He cares deeply about all of our children. He's doing an extraordinary job under the most difficult circumstances. I want everybody to meet Chancellor Richard Carranza.
How can anyone follow our city council? Wow. Just a history lesson, but more than that, a real lesson in tenacity and doing the right thing for the right reasons for a community that is rich with talent. So I want to add my thank you to all of our elected officials that are here and everyone that has fought to make this day possible. You know, some people talk about the expense of education. It costs too much, or there's not enough funding. And what this community has shown is that education is never an expense.
That's right.
It's an investment.
That's right.
And nowhere have we seen that investment bear the fruit of young people more than at this incredible school, the Medgar Evers College Preparatory School. So this interagency partnership that we are celebrating today will have a huge impact and magnitude that we can't even start to imagine for generations of students that will be educated here. This new space is going to include all the amenities that one would expect in a world-class learning environment. And I'm thrilled that future students will have access to a gymnasium, auditoriums, classrooms that our students are so deserving of. And may I say that are just expected in certain communities across the city. So I am incredibly proud of that. And, you know, these last 9 months have been difficult for everyone. But I can't even begin to describe how difficult it's been for our principals. And I want to give a shout out to the critical role that Dr. Michael Wiltshire has played in this entire conversation. You know, you know, not only has he been the principal for almost 2 decades, and he's literally put thousands of students on a path to successful futures. But he never stops advocating for the community, and he deserves a special thank you for all that he has done, especially during these very, very difficult circumstances. I also want to give a shout out to our superintendent, Fred Walsh, who is here as well, who always, you know, City Councilwoman, if you think you didn't stop talking about this, every time I'd see Fred, he'd say, hey, remember that little project we're talking about as well. And then also a huge shout out to Commissioner and President Lorraine Grillo.
Yeah.
She has an equity lens that is unlike anything I've ever seen from somebody, and she very, very humbly will say, I just fix and build buildings. And she does much, much more than that, because she recognizes that a child's learning conditions are a child's future conditions. Right. So I want to thank you, Lorraine, for all of your hard work. And I just have this last thing to say. You think today's a celebration, wait till we cut that ribbon. We'll see you back when we cut that ribbon. God bless you, stay safe, and today's a day of celebration.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Chancellor. As I said earlier, this could not have happened without the cooperation and the partnership of our friends at CUNY. And I also would like to thank the CUNY Chancellor. And right now, representing him is the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Hector Batista.
Yes, Hector! Woo!
Thank you, Lorraine. And today I got a lot of recognition, but none of this could have been possible without the leadership of our Chancellor, Matos Rodriguez. The Chancellor made it a point to really focus on this project, because he thought it was a project that was extremely important, not only for the high school, but also for the college. And today, because of his efforts, because of his leadership, we're able to announce this very important project, which would allow the university, Medgar University, to get about 50,000 square feet of classroom space and really remove some of these buildings that we have there, much of a building where really our students could really learn. I want to recognize one of our trustees. I'll get in trouble if I don't recognize our trustee, Clark. Not only I have a lot of history with her. When I was in city government, when I went in front of her committee, she's always been a real true champion for this community and for the city of New York. And I am very lucky to be able to call her a friend, and very lucky to have her. We want to thank Governor Cuomo for his leadership and providing important funding for this project. We also obviously want to recognize Mayor de Blasio and the Chancellor Carranza for his leadership. My dear friend Lorraine Grillo, we had many phone calls because the councilwoman had just called me, and I would get a call, and the councilwoman is saying, this project is happening. I would call Lorraine, is this happening? And, the councilwoman, and I would call back, Lorraine, it's not happening yet. So it was back and forth, a lot of back and forth, but we're very grateful. Today's project really also brings back somewhat of a sad moment for us. We lost our Senior Vice Chancellor for Facilities, Alan Liu. Alan was the person, Lorraine will tell you, who came up with the gimmick to make this project sort of happen. Because to be honest, we were at a standstill between what the education of the Board of Education needed and what CUNY needed. And he came up with the idea, and Alan unfortunately passed on June 23rd because of COVID. And, I actually, for me, I known Alan for about 30 years, and I recruited him to CUNY. He came to CUNY in December. I think it was December 3rd, and he was so excited. Brilliant guy who built the National Stadium in Washington, D.C., the Conventioners Bureau, City College graduate. And because of his vision, and he convinced the chancellor that he had the idea that to get this project over the finish line, and he did. And so today he's smiling down from heaven, looking at us and smiling and saying, we got it done. So thank you to all. Please stay safe.
Thank you so much, Hector. I do remember that meeting and meeting Alan, and he was a charming, lovely man, and he will be missed. So, our final speaker today is somebody who I met a couple of years ago, and we worked together on a number of projects related to MWBE and how we incorporate MWBE into our contracting and how we do a better job sharing and dealing with equity that is necessary throughout the city. So I want to thank somebody who I consider to be a sister, Assembly Member Rodney Bichot.
Yeah, Rodney! It's cold. Thank you so much, President Grillo. I really appreciate it. We worked so hard together on equity and excellence, and this is the opportunity to celebrate today. So first of all, I want to say good afternoon, everyone. My name is Assemblymember Rodney Bichot. I represent Central Flatbush, and I am the Democratic leader for all of Brooklyn, so this is my home too. I've been adopted by all of my elected officials here. I want to start by saying thank you to the mayor and the chancellor for believing that every child deserves a quality education and deserves a quality space to get a quality education. And so putting the values to work with the opening of Medgar Everett's gym, auditorium, classroom is absolutely phenomenal. I certainly want to acknowledge my colleagues in government, my sister, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, my sorority sister. Thank you for leading the way. We just heard from Representative Hakeem Jeffries, who's not here. Council Member, Majority Leader Lori Cumbo. I'm so thankful for her strength, for her leadership. And this is your baby, and I'm just so happy to be here celebrating for all the work that you did. And I thank you, and we certainly want to look to her so that we can replicate this in other parts of Brooklyn and New York City. We do have our district leaders here, Edu Herlin and Shirley Patterson of the 43rd. Dr. Una Clark, my December 2nd twin mother. We look forward to celebrating together. I also want to acknowledge CUNY Chancellor Rodriguez, who's not here, but CUNY Hector Batista, thank you for all the work that you do. Lorraine, again, President of School Construction Authority. We're looking to make sure that we have MWBEs participating, okay? Minority and Women Business Enterprise, as we build the gyms, the auditoriums, and the classroom, the 22 classrooms, certainly, we want to make sure they're minority women-owned businesses. And I know, shout out to Councilmember Al Van and Assemblymember Roger Green, worked so hard building this community. And then lastly, Principal Dr. Wilshire. I am truly, truly amazed and very thankful for your vision and for building this school. I am truly vested. I personally have a student in your school who was fighting to get into this school. And this was a top-rated student, and A+, like 4.1. And because his parents really didn't know how to do this ranking thing, and they had Medgar Evers as their #1 choice. They live around the corner, and with diligence, he got into the school, and we are very proud. And I just want to say that I'm so thrilled that we're building Science 22 classrooms for science. This is certainly personal to me because I was a math and science major, a former engineer, so I look forward to roaming through the classrooms after the pandemic, of course, and just to see how these students are going to enjoy the new space, the resources that they deserve. All of our students deserve resources so that they can expand their learning. So I'm just really excited. And I just want to leave off to say that President Obama cited the school in 2019 as an example of innovation. And the opening of this auditorium, gym, and classroom space signifies securing equal opportunities in education for all students, regardless of their race and economic background. So once again, I want to thank all of you. And again, a personal shout out to Majority Leader Lori Cumbo for just fighting and being on top of this. So we thank you, sister. And God bless.
So we're going to close with a prayer. Lori?
You know I have to insert my own way into everything. But again, I didn't in my remarks, but I wanted to thank again Chancellor Carranza because he has probably the most difficult role during this entire pandemic. And I certainly want to thank him because in the midst of really heated conversations and hearings and public discussions around access to computers, around food access, around classrooms, around shutdowns, in the midst of all of that, he continued this conversation about the reality of this project, which speaks volumes about his commitment to children of color and their need to have world-class state-of-the-art facilities, while we also work on the critical issues of access for all of our children. So he could have easily thrown his hands up and said, I don't have the mental capacity to address what you're talking about. But he took it in, and I appreciate that. And we need to continue to hold him in prayer and support and to lift him up through this challenge, because when we lift him up, we lift our children up as well. So, thank you. Thank you. At this time, I said, the mayor has left, so I get to have a little bit of the run of the show now. So I said that I wanted to close this in prayer. It's a little untraditional from announcements that we have in the city of New York, but we would not be here without God and the power of prayer and some praying mothers and fathers of this school who have told me night after night about their prayers to see this become a reality. So I want to bring Reverend Moore of First Baptist Church, who's going to close us out in prayer. Thank all of you for getting us to this point. Thank you for those leaders who brought us to this point, who had the courage, tenacity, and the vision to found this institution. And it is our goal to continue to realize your larger dreams. Thank you, and Reverend Moore.
Good afternoon. As I was standing here, I was wondering why I was invited to give the benediction. Clergy are always invited at the last point, the last minute to pray. But there's a reason why. Because after all of the meetings have been met and after we've had all of the decisions, we stand here and we're reminded that we are standing on holy ground. And in this moment, I realize this is the first time that I've been in this yard in almost 15 or 20 years. When I was young in the 6th grade, struggling in school, my mom enrolled me in Saturday classes. And as an 11-year-old, I was in one of these trailers on a Saturday morning for tutorial prep. And so I'm reminded that we're not gathered here because of politics. We are gathered here because of dreams. We are gathered here not because of a project. We are gathered here because of uncreated worlds. So as we close this meeting, as we close this gathering, let us take a moment to feel the ground that we are now standing on. Let's take a moment to feel the ground. We are standing and sitting on holy ground. This is holy ground made sacred by ancestors who died for the opportunity to learn how to read and to write. We are standing on holy ground because we are reminded of leaders from our community who prayed to see a historically black college built in Brooklyn, New York. We are standing on holy ground because every time we build a school, it's a sign of hope. We are standing on holy ground because in the midst of a difficult night in our nation, we are reminded that dreams still come true. So we ask now, oh God, as we leave this place, but never from your presence, that you would establish the work of our hands. We ask now, oh God, that you would unite our politicians, that they would put their agendas aside just to make sure that dreams are made possible, not just for our children, but for our children's children. So right now, oh God, we close our eyes and we feel the ground because in our imagination, we already see the building. In our imagination, we already see children becoming scientists. In our imagination, we see children who will grow up to find the cure for cancer, who would beat back the demons of diabetes, who would give us one step closer, oh God, into our promised land. So we ask now, oh God, for the strength, the courage, and the imagination to see the dream come true. What a wonderful way to begin Thanksgiving. What a wonderful way to celebrate Thanksgiving and a pandemic by announcing to the world that dreams are still coming true. So we pause in this moment, oh God, because we're cold. We're teachers teaching in a pandemic. We're pastors trying to lead your church forward, but we pause in this moment as a family, as a community, to be strengthened for the journey ahead and to say thank you again for making this dream come true. This is our prayer to Jesus Christ our Lord, and in your many names we pray. Amen and amen.
Amen. Woo! That was God, because I called him an hour ago.